matter, you
Nearly
the mayor.
80% of Americans now say that fast food is a luxury because it has become so
It is. Who's gonna spend $8, $7, $9 every day getting some food?
expensive. And as a result, they're eating it less often. That's stats from a Lending Tree survey done last year. And since then, it's only gotten worse.
Eating away from home is about 30% more expensive than it was in 2019. But now a lot of these restaurants realize they really just can't raise prices anymore. I think customers are at a breaking point.
The latest earnings report from McDonald's, Wendy's, Domino's, and even Chipotle revealed just how much consumers are pushing back against the cost of fast food today.
As surveys show, more than 60% of people saying they've been shocked by a fast food bill and are going less frequently.
It's crazy. 60% bullshit. Maybe like 80, 85, 90. I feel like everyone said that at some point.
The prices of food, restaurant
Yo, Plenty to Escape. Hello from Los Angeles. What's good, man? How you doing?
is at all-time high, in my opinion.
Now, I've covered in the past why these fast food companies had begun panicking over their higher prices. It wasn't too hard to see that the current landscape was going to be more problematic for them.
The fast food value wars are showing no signs of slowing down in 2025. New offers, even drone deliveries, a response to win back bargain-hungry consumers fed up with sticker shock.
But since then, more to the story has unfolded because it appears consumers have moved from complaining to finally no longer buying it. So in this video, we're
Yeah, if you don't have any money, you can't buy it. There's nothing you can really do about it. You know what I mean? Like, what choice do you have?
going to unpack how years of price hikes and cost cutting have backfired against the fast food industry and why even the most loyal customers are now saying it's just not worth it anymore. McDonald's just reported its steepest US same-store sales drop of 3.6% in the first quarter of 2025. That drop is the worst in the US for McDonald's since the 8.7% plunge during the height of the COVID pandemic. Now, analysts had projected a decline of 1.7%, but obviously it came out to be much worse than expected. Same-store sales is a vital metric for companies with multiple locations because it filters out the growth from any potential new locations. So when comps are down, it means existing customers are spending less and or showing up less. As a result, it means locations that have been open for at least a year are making less money than they were last year. On the earnings call, the McDonald's CEO said that in the US, overall quick service restaurant industry traffic from the low-income consumer was down nearly double digits versus the prior year. He went on to say that unlike a few months ago, QSR traffic from middle-income consumers fell nearly as much, which was a clear indication that the economic pressure on traffic had broadened.
Yeah, and these lines be long as hell. It don't even be worth it for real.
And that's McDonald's. I mean, they're supposed to be recession-proof. Many investors view McDonald's as a defensive stock because they think even during tough times, people will still eat there because it's cheap, and after all, people need to eat. But that's the thing. It's obviously not cheap anymore.
I don't really understand the macro thing, David, because if the consumer is getting more cautious and consumer confidence is down, wouldn't that bode well for McDonald's, which is really focused on value meals? And
He said if consumer confidence is down, doesn't that help McDonald's? No, the fuck it doesn't. It makes people not want to buy, hold on to their dollars, which is not what McDonald's wants. And to be honest, fuck McDonald's, but let's keep it going.
and a cheaper alternative to other restaurants?
That's why it was such a crisis last year, because last year they were having their own recession before there was a threat of recession elsewhere. So the low-income consumer recession has been going on since basically the second quarter of last year, and McDonald's was suffering alongside of the worst of them. I mean, they were really, really getting hit.
Their CEO admitted it wasn't just the low-income consumers pulling back, it was also the middle-income households too. Compared to other fast food companies, McDonald's has more low and middle-income diners. And even though high-income consumers are still dining out,
Yeah, weren't they the first ones to do the $5 meal? Or was it Wendy's? I can't even remember for real.
their spending is not enough to offset the shrinking traffic from the lower-income cohorts. And this all comes during a time where they've been desperately trying to revive a value menu and offer their $5 meal deal. But the damage is clearly showing. People aren't loving it. McDonald's isn't their competitor.
Nah, he's kind of funny. The type of jokes I fuck with.
Wendy's is also feeling the squeeze. Their revenue and net income declined in the first quarter, and they cut their full-year forecast after same-store sales in the US fell nearly 3%, which was also worse than expected. Wendy said that inflation pushed up the cost of supplies and labor. They also specifically called out households earning under $75,000 as the ones pulling away, which, let's be honest, is more than half of the country. So this isn't a niche issue, it's a reflection of the broader economic reality. In response to this waning demand, Wendy's is planning to run 100 days of summer promotion with menu items focused on value. We'll see how that turns out. There's also Domino.
Yeah, I'm not going to Wendy's, bro. I'm not finna go eat at Wendy's. For what? I don't know. This shit's always kind of been nasty to me.
Where the trend is more subtle, but still pretty telling. They posted a decline in same-store sales as well. Traffic to their restaurants slowed in February and March as consumer sentiment weakened, mainly due to Trump's erratic trade policy. And as we now know, consumer sentiment has only gotten worse since then. But most importantly for Domino's, their delivery orders are dropping. Meanwhile, carryout is rising. Why? Well, because customers are doing the math. Delivery fees, tips, higher prices, it all adds up. People still want pizza, but they're not willing to pay the extra cost for convenience, and that's new. Their CFO said that their delivery business continues to be compacted by macro pressures that are impacting the low-income consumer. But interestingly, their CEO said that he doesn't think that the lower-income consumer is leaving Domino's. He thinks that they're just eating at home instead, which we'll talk
Exactly, which is how they save money and survive and live longer without all these processed as foods, ingredients, dyes, and colors added.
about a little later on. Now, even Chipotle is feeling the shift too, which I know isn't seen as traditional fast food, at least not the same way McDonald's or Wendy's may be, but Chipotle has historically held up much better than some of these more traditional fast food places over the years. And I think this is just because the quality of the food is better and you can get your food faster than somewhere like McDonald's or Burger King. Now, Chipotle's same-store sales declined for the first time since 2020, foot traffic was down across the board, and their executives said it plainly. The slowdown is happening in every demographic and in every region. Now, Chipotle is mostly a US-based company, and they're finally seeing consumers pull back. Their sales declined, but this was partially offset due to the higher check sizes, which
Yeah, I'm about to say that. Chick-fil-A, not Chick-fil-A, I'm screaming. Chipotle, they've been raising their prices for the longest. And yeah, they did start paying their employees a little bit more, but, it's not enough.
If you're unaware, Chipotle has raised prices about 6 different times since 2021, and they mentioned during the call that they would need to raise prices again if these current tariffs stay in effect.
We have pricing power.
Well, some good news for y'all. Trump and the Chinese president just said that they're gonna put a halt on the tariffs. I think it's for like the next 30 days, so that shouldn't be a problem for the next month at least.
At Chipotle that I believe is unparalleled. And we view that pricing power as an asset, and we can choose to spend that asset when we want to.
Now, I want to be clear, this is not just about price. It's also about how the entire experience has changed. And while I agree price is the predominant factor here, we also have to talk about how much worse the experience has gotten too. I'll be honest, I've tried using some of these apps to see if they're actually better than just walking in or using the drive-thru. These days, many of the value deals are locked behind using these companies' apps. I've probably tried using McDonald's app like 5 times over the past year or so.
It's crazy, as much as I've eaten McDonald's, I've never downloaded the app or anything like that. I've just never wanted to.
And every single time it's taken longer to get the food than if I were to just walk in or use the drive-thru. And I'm really not exaggerating this here. When you use their mobile app, you can choose 3 different ways to get your food. You can park and walk in, you can park and they'll bring it out to you, or you can just use the drive-thru and tell them your order number. It doesn't matter which one I pick. Every time it's been like 5 to 20 minutes to get the food. And this isn't during some insanely busy time at the restaurant, and it's also supposed to be fast food with notice of the order ahead of time. Now for McDonald's, it doesn't really matter how far ahead you order your food because McDonald's will track your GPS and will only start making your food when you're within a mile or 2 of the store.
That's so messed up. That's so messed up.
You can override this feature and essentially tell McDonald's you're closer to the store so that they'll hopefully begin making it, or at least that's what's implied, but even that hasn't made a difference. And I know this is completely anecdotal, and you can certainly find similar complaints online. But as of now, there doesn't appear to be any official survey data or large-scale studies that could back up this kind of experience. Regardless, I also think it's far more inconvenient to have to use their app so you can get some semblance of a deal at a place like McDonald's. I think it's going to continue to be problematic for fast food places when the experience isn't just more expensive, it's also become more annoying.
Yeah, longer and takes more time. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But I want to shift back to what all of this means for the fast food industry. In past economic downturns, fast food was generally one of the few winners. When people cut back, it's not that they stopped eating out entirely, they just traded down. From full-service restaurants to drive-through dollar menus. Fast food was always seen as this fallback. It might not have been glamorous, but it was there. Cheap, easy, and quick. This time, something is much different. Consumers aren't trading down to fast food. They're trading out of it entirely. They're going to the grocery store, cooking at home, or skipping meals altogether. It doesn't
I say, things are expensive and people don't even want to buy McDonald's anymore. Sheesh.
appear to be about eating healthier. It seems more like economic survival. And I know many of you will say, well, it's a good thing that Americans are eating less fast food. And I'm certainly not here to argue against that. What I'm pointing out is that what we're seeing are signs of consumers adjusting in some pretty meaningful ways. The shift isn't merely financial, it's also psychological. When fast food slowly becomes a luxury at a time when consumers are broadly worried about a recession, along with price increases across the board, I believe it signals a complete shift in late-stage capitalism. And that shift speaks volumes. When even fast food feels like a splurge, you know something deeper is going on. And even if the broader economic data doesn't show a full-blown recession yet, people are already behaving like it's here. And it backs up my previous argument that this recession is going to look a whole lot different than 2008 or even 2020. But if you want to learn why exactly, well, I covered it in this video here. Check it out next. Thanks for watching.
Shout out, Brody. That was a fire video. I'm gonna go ahead and subscribe.